You can't kill an idea, but ideas can kill you. What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, the violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property, all in the name of equality. What is the deadliest thing mankind has ever encountered in world history? Is it disease, famine, nuclear weapons? Not even close. By sheer body count, it's an idea. This is the story of the deadliest virus in the world, communism. The year is 1848. Europe is burning. Political upheaval leads to mass violent riots in over 50 countries. Buildings burn, shops are looted, and national militias are called in to quell the mob. Sound familiar? This year, an obscure socialist named Karl Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto. The Communist Manifesto outlines how to destroy capitalism and usher in communism through the means of socialism. To accomplish this goal, the manifesto pits two groups against each other based on their identity: bourgeois versus proletariat, essentially business owners versus the workers of that business. See, identity hatred is the key component that makes communism work.
The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles, Marx writes.
Today, we would call this identity politics. The principle is the same. Define people by their groups and pit them against each other with a perceived injustice, and then violence.
Marx embraces violence. He calls for the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions and for the common ruin of the classes.
What we are left with after this violent class warfare is a communist state. Marx spells out plainly what this looks like.
Complete state ownership of your life. No private property. High taxes, government control of communications and media, government jobs for workers, government income for all workers, mandatory government education, and government that supersedes the church in power.
These are the programs that the left is pushing today, nearly 200 years after the writing of the Communist Manifesto. And they're using identity politics and, yes, violence to do it. Remember, this is about power and control.
In 1917, Marx's ideas got their big shot. Vladimir Lenin was a Russian Marxist living in exile in Switzerland during World War I. Lenin believed wholeheartedly in communism and saw the Russian political upheaval during the war as his shot to create a communist state. Shockingly, when Lenin asked the German military for passage to Russia in the midst of a war between the two countries, Germany enthusiastically said yes.
The Germans treated Lenin and his communism as a deadly weapon to be used against their Russian enemy, a virus to infect the opponent and cripple them.
The Germans agreed to transport Lenin across the front lines into Russia, but only via a sealed train, so Lenin and his virus could not break out into Germany.
Unleashing the deadly weapon of communism on the Russian people was a horrifically effective tactic. As soon as Lenin arrived in Russia, he began to employ identity politics and social justice as a potent tool in his civil war. Lenin told his armed revolutionaries in 1918,
"Comrade, hang, and I mean hang so that the people can see, not less than 100 known rich men. Do this so that for hundreds of miles around the people can see, tremble, know, and cry. They are killing and will go on killing."
Lenin won using identity politics to pit groups against each other, incite violence, create anarchy, and then the virus took hold.
Private property and businesses were immediately dissolved. Freedom of speech eliminated. Individual freedoms crushed. Economic collapse. Famine. Starvation. Secret police raids. Millions of Russians sent to concentration camps.
More people were sent to concentration camps in communist Russia than in Nazi Germany. In spite of practiced horrors in Russia, communism spread, and always by force.
Eastern Europe, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, North Korea, Cuba, and parts of Africa fell to communist revolutions and dictators.
It's critical to note, this mass death is not caused by foreign forces, but from within. Communism kills in the name of equality. They kill their own people. Communists do not care. They are indifferent to the suffering. Man-made famines and mass starvation in concentration camps are the norm, the cost of social justice. The death toll numbers under communism are staggering.
Eastern Europe, 1 million. Vietnam, 1 million. Afghanistan, 1.5 million. Africa, 1.7 million. North Korea, 2 million. Cambodia, 2 million. Soviet Russia, 20 million people.
But nowhere is the genocidal, sociopathic bloodlust of communism more evident than the dark history of communist China. China became a communist state in 1949 after a bloody, prolonged civil war led by Mao Zedong. After becoming a communist dictator, Mao joked about the killing of business owners in his own country, 30 million people.
We have so many people. We can afford to lose a few. Mao's attempt to industrialize China, known as the Great Leap Forward, murdered more than 45 million people in a few short years, many simply from starvation.
A total of 65 million Chinese nationals were murdered under Mao's communism. Mao kept power in spite of the genocide. Communists never give up power, ever.
They don't have to. The state is God and you are nothing. Mao's political party remains in power in China to this day, and they exercise an ironclad grip on its people.
The Communist Party of China's failed response to the coronavirus cost many innocent people their lives.
The virus outbreak, most likely from incompetent management of their own viral labs, was made exponentially worse by the communist regime's inability to admit wrongdoing and warn the rest of the world. These actions directly led to the global spread of the deadly virus, resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans.
But as always, with communism, the worst is yet to come. Many of the organized leftists torching American cities are Marxists. They admit it, they say so, and they are practicing the tenets of communism to the letter.
We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
Use identity and class division to destroy private property in the name of justice. Demonize capitalists. Publicly persecute those who disagree with you. Incite violence and seize power and control.
In 1932, Stalinist-backed communists in Germany formed a group to violently clash with police, terrorize the public, and physically assault their political enemies in the street. The name of that group?
Antifasciste Aktion, Antifa. This was their symbol. Their tactics have now moved to our streets, and so have their motivations.
Vladimir Lenin and Karl Marx both agreed. The goal of socialism is communism. Power and control. It is always about power and control. What is happening right now in America is not new. In fact, it's centuries old. The tactics are meant to bewilder you and make you question your institutions. They're meant to divide us and raise what we know as America to the ground. It's a revolution by the deadliest virus known to man. Communism. You can't kill an idea, but ideas can kill you. We must fight this virus to survive.